I got down to 0% on my Sherman. Zero. I don't think I've ever done that. But I was doing Uber Eats all day. I made like $250 in one day, which is awesome for Uber Eats. And I was at the end, I was like, on my last delivery, I had 2 minutes left, because after you've done like, I was able to reach like 20 to 25 k's an hour. I was like 24. The screenshot shows 24, doesn't it? At 0%. Zero. I mean, that's just awesome. 24 is not bad, guys. Like, if that's all you've got, you know, you got to get home. 24 is all right. You know, you'll get there at a decent rate. The Kingsong 16X, guys, is nothing like that. On the 16X, when you hit 50%, you're already being limited, all right? You know, all right, let's talk about the top speed of both machines. The top speed on this is like 80 k's an hour, right? The top speed on the 16X is 50 k's an hour, so much slower. And by the time the 16X hits 50% battery, it's already limiting you to 40 k's an hour. So you can no longer do 50, you can do 40. And it leans you back. That's how it works. Like, you know, it tilts back the machine when it wants you to slow down. It'll say, please decelerate as well.
Please decelerate.
And then it just keeps going down. So like at 40% battery, at 30% battery, let's say, you'll be limited to 35 k's an hour, even 30 k's an hour at friggin' 40% battery, right? Once you hit like 25% battery on the Kingsong 16X, you're limited to like 18 k's an hour, like friggin' 11 miles an hour or something. At 25% battery, you're already like, that's excruciating. When you're limited to that speed, you're like, dude, if you're far from home, that is torture. You almost feel like catching a bus. I mean, I would rather catch a bus, to be honest, if I was far away. Much rather. At that pace, you're gonna be struggling. I mean, standing there all day like a zombie, just, you know, everyone looking at you too. It's like, what's this dude going so slow? And it happens so much earlier, like I said, at 25%. But on top of that, its battery is half the size. So you're gonna reach 25 way earlier. Compared to the Sherman, on the Sherman, it'll take you forever to get down to 25% battery. Forever. On the 16X, you get there really quick. You hit 25% before you even know it. So before you even know it, you're already you've converted yourself into a slug on a wheel, basically. So the battery situation on that thing is like, I mean, you can't complain too much. It's got a decent battery, but this thing just kills it. It just destroys it. I mean, once you get used to the Sherman and what its battery can do, then the 16X just seems like a feeble toy. And that reminds me of the Sherman Max. Like, you know, I said I want to get the Sherman Max. But yeah, the Sherman Max has even more battery than this. This has got 3,200 watt hours. The Max has 3,600 watt hours. So 400 more watt hours. And a lot of people would probably think, yeah, it's not a big difference, is it? It's only 400 watt hours. It's like, what? 12% or something. But 400 watt hours is nothing to sneeze at, guys. For example, you know, I used to be into e-skate. Before I got into EUCs, I was into e-skate. And I knew about EUCs, but I never thought I would get one. Because I love the e-skates. You know, electric skateboards. Pretty good way to get around too, except the tiny wheels make it dangerous. But most of those boards don't even have 400 watt hours. For example, the X-Way X1, I think it was called. Very popular board. I don't know what its range is. Like, not that, you know, it's probably like 20 kilometers. And that thing's only got 130 watt hours, guys. Maybe 150, but definitely no more than, it's definitely not 200, because the X1 Pro had 200 watt hours. So the X1 Pro. Let's talk about the X1 Pro. It's got 200 watt hours, and people are like, yay, 200 watt hours. and they can go, let's say 25 kilometers on that thing, right? With just 200 watt hours. So the Sherman Max has 2 X1 Pros on top of the Sherman, right? There's nothing to sneeze at, guys. But not just that it's got that extra range. Like I said, when you add more batteries in parallel, you don't get just what you add, you get more. It's more than the sum of its parts. Remember I said this has double the battery of the 16X, but it's got more than double when it comes to range in practice, right? Triple. Even up to anywhere between 3 and 4 times, depending on how hard you ride. If you ride very hard, the 16X is gone in a heartbeat. This thing will last 4 times longer if you're going to ride hard, you know, say 50 k's an hour, which is as fast as the 16X can go. If you keep the 16X at 50 at its top speed the whole time, that battery ain't going to last shit. I mean, it'll run out super quickly. This thing, when you're doing 50 on this thing, it's like it's not even trying. Like I said, it can do 50, it can do 45 at friggin' 8% battery. It can do 50 at like 10% battery. So 50 for this thing is nothing. And it'll be able to do 50 easily around 4 times as long as the 16X. Even though it's only got twice the battery, it's got 4 times the range in that situation. And same thing applies with a Sherman Max. You add 400 watt hours, but you're going to get more than 400 watt hours in practice. You know, it's going to seem like more than 12%. Or you're going to be more like 15%. Maybe up to 20%. Again, depending on how hard you're riding. Yeah, I wish I had the Max, to be honest. Also because of the higher pedals. But my plan is to have this and the Max. Like I said, I'm going to sell my 16X. And I'm going to have this and the Sherman Max. I'm going to have 2 Shermans. And I'm going to buy a bunch of spare parts just to future-proof it. Because these things are miraculous, guys. They're miraculous. I've done, look, I'll show you. So far, I've done, you see that? Oh, hold on, turn it off. Turn it back on. All right, look at my total kilometers. Whoop. Total, 11,097 kilometers, right? 11,000 on this main board, right? And as far as I can tell, it'll do another 11,000. No problems, no reliability issues. Just glides like a dream every day of the week. On this main board, you know, it looks like a graphics card out of a computer. You know, it's crazy. But my point is that the 16X isn't like that. You know, I've replaced the main board in that thing 3 times now. You drop that thing, I mean, you sneeze on that thing and you might break the main board. I'm not even joking. I mean, if you sneeze and like headbutt it by accident or something, let's say, you know, I was kind of exaggerating. But if you sneezed and headbutted the 16X, you'd have about a 20% chance that it fails. That's what the 16X is like, guys. This thing, nothing like that. You can drop this thing 150 times and it's gonna have no effect on the main board. I don't know exactly why that is. This has just got more robust parts, I guess. But that's why I love this thing. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna get a Sherman Max. I'm gonna buy like 3 spare main boards. And it might not be the same main board with the Sherman Max. That's the unfortunate thing. So I'm gonna have to buy like 2 sets of main boards. But anyway, this thing will last 100 years. If I've got 3 main boards, how many kilometers I'm gonna get? Like before this main board fails, could be 30, 40,000 Ks. And that's what I'm gonna do. And It's a crazy thing, isn't it? It's just crazy to think. This little thing. Look, I mean, look how small it is too. Like this is my small backpack, right? And it's still like, you know, it makes the Sherman look like a midget. It's tiny. Imagine if that was your backpack. You had this Sherman like attached to your bag, and you wear that thing around and walk around like that. How awesome would that be? Just bust out the Sherman. I mean, no, it wouldn't be awesome, would it? It would be so heavy, wouldn't it? It would probably tear the but yeah, the Sherman is the way to go. And I don't know what else to get, to be honest. Like, you know, I was looking at the V12, the S20. That's about it, really. The V12 and the S20. I'd thought about the Commander. I'd thought about maybe the Master or I don't know, there's another one. But at the end of the day, I was like, nah, it's going to be the V12 or the S20. And then it turned out they're shit. They're garbage. The V12, well, In Motion is like the least reliable company out of any company. They're worse than Bigode or whatever you call them. Someone told me I was pronouncing it wrong. So it's not really Bigode, it's Bigod. I don't know. Gotway. What was I talking about? Nah, I forgot. Oh yeah. The Sherman's the only thing I can even consider buying, right? In Motion is the least reliable company. Worse than Bigod, worse than Bigode. Worse than, like I said, and the S20, I don't want the S20 because a few reasons. A lot of people have said it's really weak. So if you do have an accident, it's very likely to break. It's very hard to service. And I don't like Kingsong anymore because of my experience with the 16X. That mainboard is like 100 times more fragile than the Sherman mainboard. You know, I don't even know, it could be 1,000 times. Like, this thing just doesn't break. The 16X breaks very easily. So if that's how they make the 16X mainboard, who's to say they're going to make the S20's mainboard any better? Probably not. Probably going to fail just the same. So yeah, I don't like Kingsong either. They make weak toys. I hate them, in fact. I hate them. It enrages me, guys. If only I could get my hands on them, you know? But yeah, so I don't want to get my hands on them. I want to stay away from the Kingsong. And that leaves me no choice. Like, I've got nothing to get now. So I don't want a In Motion. I don't want a Kingsong. I don't want a Bigod. I don't want a... What else is there? A solo wheel. I don't want a Segway. So what's left? It's Veteran. And I don't want a freaking Abrams, guys. I definitely don't want an Abrams. What were they even thinking? I said that in the past, but that thing is the size of a freaking Ferris wheel. And it's got a smaller battery than the Sherman. I mean, was that an April Fool's joke or something? Is that how they came up with this idea of the Abrams tank? They should make a literal tank, an electric tank, and put a smaller battery than the Abrams even. You know? But That's it. There's nothing left but veteran. Veteran is the only thing I could consider getting, and getting another Sherman just like this was like a no-go, because I was considering it, and like I thought, well, if there's nothing else I can get, I may as well just get another Sherman. You know, but why? Why just get the same wheel, right? But now that there's the Max, then you got some reason, you know, a bit of an upgrade, higher pedals, bigger battery. I think that's it. Just higher pedals and bigger battery. Oh, and more motor power, more torque. And maybe a lower top speed though. I just read that recently, that the Sherman Max has a slightly lower free spin speed. And they're saying that will translate into a lower top speed. So I don't know if that's true. But that kind of sucks, doesn't it? If that's the case. But it's got way more torque, which is cool. Although I've never even, because I've never used power pads on this thing, so I've never needed more torque. You know, I can't climb like super steep hills without power pads. It's like basically impossible. So yeah, I haven't missed the torque. Although it would just be nice to know it's got extra torque, so it's got more safety margin before a cutout. Because whether you're going up a steep hill or, you know, along a flat and just accelerating hard, you know, just, you need torque. And the more torque you have, the more you can lean forward before a cutout, which means you're safer. You know, at any given moment, whatever lean angle you've got, you're further away from a cutout, which is just a nice thing to know. And that's it. I reckon that's all the topics I was going to talk about for today. So now we can talk about the mosquito thing. I'm just going to get a little medicine out. I've got a little medicine. Back on a bit of medicine here, guys. But yeah, we're going to talk about these mosquitoes, guys. 3 billion liters of water, and they're telling us not to leave water laying around. Jeez. Another way of saying 3 billion liters of water is 3 megatons. That's interesting. 3 megatons of water. A lot of water. Because it's 3 million tons, which is the same as 3 billion liters. Every liter weighs 1 kilo. But anyway, let's talk about these mosquitoes and my deathly sickness I've just experienced in the last 7 days. And I'm over, like I said, it was so bad that I wanted to die. What you just saw is actually, it was going to be the coming up section of this long video. Like, it was going to be like an hour long. And in that video, I was going to explain all this stuff about the mosquitoes. Probably sounds weird, but it'll make sense in the next video. So that will be the full video. And there might be a couple of overlaps, but if there is, I'll just put a timestamp and say skip ahead if you watched the last video. So yeah, let's end it here, guys.